This week, the House will consider a Senate-passed bill to bolster security for Supreme Court justices' families in light of the ongoing protests outside of their homes. This following that leaked document, that leaked opinion suggesting that the High Court could overturn Roe v. Wade. It also comes on the heels of an arrest or a situation last week when a 26-year-old California man armed with a gun and a knife. He was taken into custody near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home. He actually turned himself into police, calling 911, admitting on that call that he planned on causing harm to himself and Justice Kavanaugh. Now, the bill that we're mentioning here, it extends to protections for Supreme Court justices' immediate families. And our friend Niall Stanage from The Hill is joining us right now to talk a little bit more about this. The Senate unanimously passed this bill last month. It stalled in the House. Why?
Basically because Democrats want it to be expanded further to incorporate law clerks and other members of staff. Now, there are separate criticisms from some on the left of the Democratic Party. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made an Instagram in which she talked about her own efforts to stall it for at least a couple of days, which was to do with House and Senate procedures. But there are some disagreements. It should ultimately pass. It's just that the parties haven't ironed out those wrinkles just yet.
Well, there is also this debate going on about the protests. Again, people are demonstrating outside of justices' homes because they're angry about that leaked opinion and what potentially could happen to overturn this abortion law, longstanding abortion law. There's a 1950s federal statute that makes it illegal to picket or parade outside a justice's home or a courthouse. There's a quote, with the intent of interfering with, obstructing, or impeding the administration of justice, or with the intent of influencing any judge. But is anyone being arrested right now?
No, and not as far as I'm aware. There have been protests at a number of justices' homes in D.C., in the D.C. area, and no one has been arrested to my knowledge. This does seem pretty clearly illegal under the statute that you mentioned. You know, it is obviously an effort to pressure the judges, or the justices, I should say, and there hasn't been action taken. Now, people do make an argument that if you protest outside, maybe you're in the street and maybe that is a public forum protected by the First Amendment. I find that a pretty specious argument, honestly.
But why isn't it being enforced? I mean, it's pretty clear cut that it's illegal. Their hope is to influence the judges not to overturn Roe v. Wade. So why wouldn't police move on that?
I don't know, is the short answer. Now, there may be a fear that you would create a conflict situation which would actually escalate, or that you would create a scenario where you make martyrs, legal martyrs out of the protesters and kind of ignite a broader conflagration. I'm only saying that because that is typically the reason why police don't sometimes move to enforce laws like this. I don't know that to be the case in this specific instance.
There are a lot of controversies, of course, with the hot topic of abortion. It's something that is going to be polarizing no matter what your stance on it is. But there are some major news networks and newspapers facing criticism for not covering the story of what prosecutors are calling this derailed assassination attempt of Justice Kavanaugh. There were zero mentions of this story on ABC, CBS, NBC Sunday Morning. None of them covered the story. And famous TV host Bill Maher, who is famously a liberal, hitting the New York Times, striking back at them saying they kept the story off of their front page and that was inherently wrong. So is this fair criticism? I think a lot of people would say, you know, there is something to be said here.
Yes, and I think I would agree with them in this instance. It seems pretty inconceivable that if exactly the same circumstance had arisen targeting a liberal judge, let's say Sonia Sotomayor, for example, that the coverage in the places that you mentioned would be much more widespread, as it should be. I mean, the threat on the life of a Supreme Court justice is a major, major story by its nature. Now, I know liberals will say some of the criticism might be in bad faith, might be in conservatives who themselves minimize other stories, January the 6th or whatever. But when it comes to the core argument, does this story about an apparent attempt on Justice Kavanaugh's life deserve wider coverage than it's got? The answer is clearly yes, to my mind.
Niall Stanage, White House columnist for The Hill. Good to see you, my friend, on a Monday morning.
Good to see you too, Adrienne.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.